Good evening and welcome back to another video. It's Stephen here on the 4th or 5th, I don't know, daily Manchester City news show that I've been doing now. Are you well? Are you good? It's been a pretty quiet day today, but there's still some news from across the world of Manchester City. We're going to talk about Bernardo Silva, Joao Cancelo, Pep Guardiola himself, bit of Bruno G, and maybe more as this video develops, because this is your City daily news show. So give the video a like, and of course, subscribe if you are new here. I'm trying to do this all the time now. Once again, this is sort of like a new setup I've got going on. I'm going to try and keep this as a regular thing. It was going to go live at 10 a.m. this morning, but honestly, there was literally nothing to talk about, so I thought I'll schedule it for the afternoon instead, or the evening instead. Sometimes we're going to have to do that. Sometimes it's going to have to be a little bit flexible, because that's just the way of football, you know? Not every day is going to be a big news day, but there's a few little tidbits going around. I'm actually seeing people in the chat talking about Alonso. I hadn't noticed this at all until people mentioned it. I've not seen it on any of the big aggregators, but I Googled it. I saw a guy called Steve K, a transfer correspondent for transfer.com, all for Anfield Watch. Apparently I don't know if he's reliable or not. I don't really trust that as a source, so we'll go back to that another day about Xabi Alonso potentially replacing Pep. But yeah, guys, give the video a like, subscribe if you're new here, and let me know if you're enjoying the daily live streams. Just good 15, 20, sometimes 30-minute kind of bite-sized updates on Manchester City Football Club, because there's plenty going on always. Well, by the end of the day, there's always something going on. There's always a quote or two. And Guardiola himself has been talking about a few things. I don't know where it's all come from, but he did a bit of an interview today or yesterday at some point, I'm not sure, but he was talking about a whole bunch of things, and one of those things he talked about was Bernardo Silva. Let's go over to the latest Bernardo Silva news. Now, the context, of course, of Bernardo Silva is that he's a wonderful footballer. He's been at Manchester City since 2017. He's been here for 7 years now. He's won the fucking lot, won absolutely loads, but there's been speculation for a long time that Bernardo Silva fancied something new. It wasn't about Manchester City, it wasn't about Pep, it wasn't about the fans. I think it was entirely down to lifestyle. I must admit, I've been to Lisbon, you know, where he's from. It's a beautiful place, and I got a feeling it's more about just sort of sunnier climates. As I'm saying this now, it's glorious skies over Manchester, so maybe he'll be tempted. But I understand the urge for a different lifestyle for a boy from Portugal. I get it. Again, he's a homely man. He wants to be a bit warmer, feel a little bit more comfortable. And I get it. I absolutely get it. But the indications are, according to Guardiola, that he might just be staying. Here we go. Here's the exact quote. He said this. He said, Pep Guardiola said, there are many rumours in the press on Bernardo, but no one has called us so far. We've received no calls from Barca or any other club. He's a wonderful player. I hope he's going to stay with us at Manchester City. So that's just it. They've received no calls whatsoever. So, of course, I mean, that doesn't mean a call won't come in. And usually the call is when the bid is made. We understand that it works. And I guess the argument would be that, you know, if there's going to be a bid, it's going to be the release clause that apparently he has. The rumour suggests that when he extended his contract last season, it included a £50 million release fee clause to potentially to a few different teams. I think it's probably not to English teams, it's to overseas teams in different leagues or whatever, with Barcelona being one of them. Obviously, he's a boyhood Barcelona fan, Bernardo Silva. So I think, though, that this is a sign that he's probably going to stay. Bernardo Silva recently in the press has been talking quite measured, actually. He's been talking about us collectively as a team, as a fan base, blah, blah, blah. He's been talking about we do this and his plans and all this kind of stuff. Look, I think the idea of Bernardo going is realistic, but at the same time, you have to look at the market. Like, this is not a buyer's market outside the Premier League these days. The Premier League is the league of all the money. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else in England, so it's not going to be that. Bayern aren't going to buy him because I don't think he wants to go to Germany because it's too similar to England. And I think he'd love to go to potentially Paris or something like that. And obviously Paris isn't exactly tropical climates, but it's a millionaire's playground for a reason. But I think he'd love to go to Spain. Having said that, we look at his contract. You know, he'll have 2 years left of his contract. So he's got 1.5 years left, I don't know. But he's got 2 years left after this season, I think. And the age he is, I would not be surprised if he's looking at his family right now, with his little one being born and his wife settled in Manchester for now. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking, I will just see out my contract and go back to Benfica, his boyhood club. I would not be surprised whatsoever if that happens. But what I do know is that it's not easy to get someone, like, it's easy to justify if you haven't got much money, 50 million on a goal scorer or a winger who beats people. Bernardo Silva is an eye-catching signing, but a lot of teams in Europe don't have a lot of money right now. And they're going to spend that much money. They're going to spend it on someone younger probably, or someone who's guaranteed goals and assists. Like, Bernardo is a phenomenal player, but he isn't that guy. He's not your killer that way, And I wouldn't be surprised if the market for him is just a little bit quiet. And I think he probably knows that. Like, teams will take him in a heartbeat, but they want him on loan, or they want him for 20 million or something stupid. City aren't no one's fools. They're not going to do that. And I think this update is very, very telling. I think Bernardo Silva will be here next season, and I think that's a good thing. People will talk about his form being a bit low last season. Absolutely. But what I want to see is him in the squad. Like, even if Bob breaks through a little bit and his form gets better, and he's the one actually starting a lot more next season, it won't be that. Bernardo will play a lot. You still want Bernardo Silva in the squad. Like, in the way that we had Mahrez in the squad, he was on the bench towards the treble run, but you put Mahrez on. Like, everyone, I see not everyone, but quite a few fans, I see this thing where when they think a player is done past the best, they want to ship him off. Why not just keep him in the squad, man? Keep him in the squad, for crying out loud. Like, I saw people saying, get rid of De Bruyne, he's not his very best. You keep De Bruyne in case he only plays 30 games a season, or he's an impact sub, because he's Kevin De Bruyne. Like, Bernardo Silva is Bernardo Silva. You would not get a more reliable player than Bernardo Silva in general. Versatile, incredibly liked, reliable, experienced. Like, you keep him in the squad if you can. And, like, for me, Bernardo Silva wants to walk away on a free transfer in a couple of years. Absolutely. You let him do it because he's Bernardo Silva and he's earned that right. So I think Bernardo Silva, I think Guardiola would not be so forthright talking about the future of Bernardo Silva if he wasn't confident that he was going to stay. Yeah, Jay Worth in the chat says, look at Modric at Madrid. Yeah, keep him around, man. Keep him around. You want that experience. Like, I would love Savio to come in, Oscar Bob to get more chances, as well as having Bernardo Silva there, because you get rid of these experienced players. These experienced players teach these young players the way of the ropes at Manchester City. They are the standard bearers. They're the ones who make sure that these young players, clip them around the ear, keep them in line. That's what they're there to do. They're there to help foster this winning mentality and also show them the Manchester City view, Man City aren't a clip around the ear kind of team. They're actually a welcoming band of brothers where the senior players are liked, good people that everyone else follows. So that's what I want to see Bernardo Silva around for. That's why I want to see De Bruyne around. That's why I want to see John Stones around. Yana Moran says the problem is that Pep has players that he just doesn't drop no matter how they're playing. You could say that, mate, but Bernardo Silva is still one of the best players in world football. And everyone said that about Jack Grealish until this season. He dropped him an awful lot for Jeremy Doku. So I don't think it's true. He also just started subbing off Kevin De Bruyne. He started subbing Kevin De Bruyne. Pep is nowhere near as sentimental with these things as I think we play him out to be. So, like, I feel as much as there's an element of truth for that, look, Pep still plays the most reliable option. We can't sit here and say Oscar Bob's better than Bernardo Silva currently. Look, Oscar Bob is a fantastic young talent, but he is still a young talent. Pep Guardiola watches these players every single week in training, and he's not a single manager in the world that wouldn't lean on Bernardo Silva in big games towards the end of the season. The experienced Bernardo Silva over Oscar Bob. He would. Not every manager would do the same because he's Bernardo Silva. And even if he didn't play that well, but Bernardo, he's the kind of guy that you keep him because he could play brilliant at any moment because Bernardo Silva does that. So, yeah, but Bernardo Silva, he rarely plays crap, I would say. Sometimes he has dips of form, but Bernardo Silva, even when he's not playing at his best, is still ultra reliable to do the simple things. But anyway, I think Bernardo Silva is going to stay. And personally, I'm pretty happy about that. Let me know in the comments if you'd be happy about it. I want him to stay because I don't think we're going to buy anyone who is near as versatile as his. Guardiola talked about Joao Cancelo. He said he sort of shaded Barca. A solution will be found that's best for everyone. He's a Man City player, and if agreement isn't reached, he will return in pre-season. If he wants to stay at Barcelona and the clubs agree, a loan will be sought again. I read another quote somewhere. It was a little bit more blunt about the money they've got, but yeah. Look, he's gone, but Joao Cancelo, it will be a loan. He'll go on loan back there until he leaves. When's his contract up? A couple of years? A year or two? No, he'll go there. Joao Cancelo's got kind of leave in a free transfer in a couple of years all over it, unfortunately. Or maybe Barcelona stump up 10 million or something like that this next summer and they take him. Cancelo was a man of the past, a fantastic footballer. But what we were just talking about, the mentality of certain players, you have key players like Bernardo Silva who are liked, respected, and lead the way. You have someone like Joao Cancelo, a fantastic footballer, but by all accounts, a lot of accounts at very least, seems to be a little bit disruptive and got his pride sort of mixed up with ambition every now and then. Like, he got far too kind of caught up in himself and ultimately moved on to an inferior team, with all due respect to Barcelona. They are an inferior team. City are a much better side. So it is what it is. No real surprise there. No surprise at all. Another little bit of rumour going around. For me, I think for me is where we're at. I found it really interesting that apparently, according to Jordan Cronin, whoever this guy is, once again, he's a Newcastle United writer for Newcastle World, part of the National World Group. He feels that City are unlikely to activate Bruno Guimaraes, £100 million release clause. Pep's a big admirer, but City not expected to bite at that price. I probably agree that they won't, actually, weirdly. I want Bruno, absolutely want Bruno. I think he's a fantastic player. I'll give them the click. If I'm going to read their article, I'll give them the click. I think it's only fair. I've got a blocker enabled. Sorry, lads. Yeah, he's been fantastic for them since he signed in 2022 from Lyon. A brilliant signing. But you got 5 new... God, all these bloody pop-ups when you go on a website for the first time. I think City are unlikely to go near the 100 million. And I think City are probably hoping that they are going to fail. Aren't they up for PSR, potential sanctions, Newcastle? I don't know how good the source is, Kobe, but he's a Newcastle writer. Usually, I think local journalists are quite well connected, but I don't know how well connected this guy is. I don't know what Newcastle World is. There was a guy writing for a Newcastle newspaper yesterday, and I would have trusted him a lot more. I don't think City will go for 100 million either, but I want him in. I think he's a cracking player. I think City will be tempted to bid at 80 million and see where Newcastle are at. I think they could stand firm. Or maybe, City will push to 85 or something like that. But I think largely 100 million is an awful lot of money. Especially when considered, as Iptrich just said in the chat, Kimmich is on the market for around 25 to 30 million. So it's one of those things where you're like, we'll see, go for it. I don't know. But I think this is... I think there has to be some angling from Bruno G's side. Look, I really rate him as a footballer. I think he's a cracking player. And I think City are missing a trick to potentially... If they don't get him, I think he is. I think he's actually more fitted to Manchester City than Declan Rice was last summer. I think he's got the technical ability, he's got the versatility, he's aggressive, he's a great passer, he's technical, he keeps the ball well. He can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. I think him and Rodri alongside each other behind Foden, behind Foden would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Daniel said, why not Douglas Luiz? Look, well, the one thing I would say about Bruno is that he's better as a 6 than Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz is more of an out-and-out 8, I would say. But yeah, we absolutely can't rely on Rodri for another season. We've been having Rodri run through absolute walls for the past 2-3 years now, and we need a reliable backup because Calvin Phillips failed. Nunes isn't that guy. Kovacic is a great foil, but he's not a guy who can play a 6, in my humble opinion, unless you get a real lower team. I think Bruno can, though. Bruno absolutely can. Everyone's talking about goatees in the chat, Look, he's a cracking player. I want him at Man City. I really do. I'd be very happy with him. I got this from my wall, by the way. Look at that. It turned up today. That's got to go on the wall behind me up there. Up there somewhere. I don't know. On there. I'm gonna get some pictures on there on that. Do you like it? It's pretty cool, isn't it? I'm going to keep decorating this office massively. Hope you like it. A little bit of a main road sort of tin kind of license plate thing there. Pretty cool. I'm really trying to make sure my office looks good. Hope you like it. But anyway, yeah. Look, do you think Bruno will end up at Manchester City? Let me know. I think Bruno's a cracking player. I think he's got more potential than Kovacic to be more well-rounded. I liken him to a little bit of Gundogan. A little bit, Fingers crossed it actually happens. But we'll see. We will see. Is there any questions you guys want to talk about? It's not the longest video today. I'm going to go help get Ruben to bed in a minute because it's 6:30 now, so he's getting towards his bedtime. But I do feel, we should keep an eye on this. I think Bernardo Silva will stay. I think Bruno, he's our most likely transfer right now. I think he's more likely to come than not come. I think City will play a dance. I think they'll let it know that let it be known that they're not going to pay 100 million in hoping that Newcastle will sort of negotiate a little bit. They'll be hoping that Newcastle will go through the PSR sanctions and have to sell someone. It's going to be a bit of a dance for a while, but ultimately I think City will bite the bullet. Alvarez to Chelsea rumours. It's gone quiet on that one, hasn't it? There was some quotes once again from Alvarez. Where did Alvarez go? Let's have a look. The quotes. Let me find them. Alvarez here said on the recent rumours, he said, these are things that are said, but I am calm. I'm comfortable and happy at Man City. We will see what happens. That's not exactly like ruling it out. I think he'd consider it. I think he would go somewhere. He was going to be the number one. If he was well paid, it was a big team. I absolutely think he would do. I don't see if anyone's going to activate or have a bid accepted. We will see. But Alvarez is not exactly shutting it down. Not shutting it down there. Pete, who's been a member for 44 months, thank you, you absolute legend. Pete said, give a shout for an off-the-radar player that you like. Off-the-radar player that I like. Let me have a think. Well, Adam Wharton, guys I really rate. But other than him, let me have a think. Joao Neves, of course, but he's on the radar. I really like Frimpong. I mean, he's a very different kind of player, but I'd take him in a heartbeat. Do you know who I would take and you could laugh at if he was on a free transfer? I don't know if I even want to say this out loud. He plays for Bayer Leverkusen. His midfielder I've always rated, even if he's a bit hot-headed. Can anyone name him? If he was on a free transfer, I would take... I watched what he's done at Leverkusen with the Pep. I think Xhaka would do a really good job for City. I'm not saying sign him, but he was available. I think he'd be a cracking player. I think he's a really good footballer. I've always liked Granit Xhaka. I think he's a really good player. He's not... I don't think we should get him, but I was thinking about, someone that if we got him in a free transfer to help out Thingy every now and then, but not saying we should get him. It's got to be better than that. I'm trying to think of someone that is not... He's a good footballer, Ollie. He is, trust me. Arsenal need him more than Declan Rice right now in terms of creativity. But anyway, it's not going to be a worry. On the radar, I'm trying to think of someone who's not on our radar. I mean, Alphonso Davies as an old option as a left back, but he's not. I'm trying to think of a right back though, because I really like Guardiola left back. He's got that side to him, Hayden. Obviously Musiala, Florian Wirtz, he's not being talked about much right now. Savio, I want him to come in actually, Savio, because I really rate Savio. I think he's an excellent footballer. Right back, I thought there's not many. There's just not many, is there? I'm trying to think of someone I like from a team. Miguel from Girona is meant to be really good. But I've not watched much Girona. Alex Garcia, who is now going to Leverkusen, could have been. He was a Manchester City player. That would have been my shout. I would have brought him back because I think he's a cracking footballer, Alex Garcia. I think both of them, Paolo. Frimpong would have been a cracking player at City, but he's more of a right wing back, admittedly. But I think he can play in a very different kind of City system. Super chat from Cool Guy. Thank you so much, Cool Guy, you legend. Where we at? Says, big up, Stephen. I feel Douglas and Eze are a good shout over Bruno Musiala. Both are Prem-proven, and with the right coach, can become better players. Look, yeah, I mean, they're really good players. I mean, I think Bruno is better than Douglas. I think Musiala is probably the better talent than Eze. It's a little bit more basic versions, but you are right that the Premier League proven is an aspect that you've got to consider. Michael Olise, there's a shout for you. Who do I really like? There's a few players that I'm thinking about that I've kind of slipped my mind that I really rate. I don't know. But get Savio in, man. Get Bruno in. I'm happy with those names. I think they're good players. But Cool Guy, I absolutely agree, mate. They'll be. I mean, all those players you mentioned are great players. Douglas Luiz, I'm not quite as excited by. I don't know why. Eze, I would take in a heartbeat. I think he's a really cracking player. I really like him. Brudigan, yeah, Brudigan. I like that. Echeverry as well to come eventually. But anyway, Husamawa, there's a throwback. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it there, but thank you for watching yet another episode of the City Daily News Show. If you are enjoying it, like the video to support the channel, as it says right there. You can't ignore a scrolling thing that I made last week. Hit the bell for new video notifications. Have you done it? Have you done it right now? Let me know in the chat. And follow on all the socials at Esteemed Kompany or at Stephen McInerney, of course. That is my thing. Also, if you want to join and become a channel member, that'd be great. Or follow on Patreon. That'd be massively appreciated too. Hope you're enjoying it. Tomorrow, I'm not sure. It might be the evening. Look, if any news pops up tonight, I'll probably do a morning one. If not, it'll probably be afternoon again, 6 p.m. or something like that. I will schedule it for later on tonight. For now, thanks for watching. In a bit, bye-bye.